Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you guys how to make this delicious and easy chocolate cake with caramel icing. Here are the ingredients you'll need for the chocolate cake. You'll need some flour, some sugar, some baking cocoa, some oil, I'm using vegetable oil, some baking soda, 1 egg, a cup of sour milk. I made this just using 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, and then I topped it up with milk to the 1 cup line. And lastly, a cup of strong hot coffee. Alrighty guys, let's make this cake. So first things first, we're going to add flour. I'm using all-purpose flour. I'm going to do 2 cups. Next ingredient I'm going to add is our white sugar. I'm going to add 1 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Adding firstly my 1 cup, and then I'm going to do 3/4 cups to get that 3/4 of a cup. There you go. The next ingredient I'm going to add is some baking cocoa. And I'm doing 1/2 cup of that. The next ingredient I'm going to add is some baking soda. Do 1/2 tablespoon of that. So this is it for our dry ingredients. So I'm going to take my whisk and whisk it together. Alrighty, so now everything's mixed. We're going to start adding our wet ingredients. Starting with 1 egg. This is something nice about this recipe, is that it only uses 1 egg. These are a luxury nowadays, it seems, so I like that about this recipe. The next thing we're going to add is our oil, and we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of oil. My first third a cup, and then I'll add another one, and 2/3. Now I'm going to add our sour milk, and as I mentioned about how I made it before, if you make it the way I did, make sure to let it sit for at least 5 minutes to kind of let it, I guess, sour up a bit. Adding that was 1 cup sour milk. And now for our last ingredient, we're going to add 1 cup of strong hot coffee. So for my coffee, I actually just used a Keurig pod and brewed 8 ounces of it. You can also do instant coffee. That works good too. Now let's give this a good mix. Make sure you're getting all that flour and everything from the sides of the bowl. Want this very nicely mixed. So now we're going to put this into a cake pan. So I poured my batter into my cake pan. It's greased. And now we're going to pop this in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for around 25 to 35 minutes. I'd recommend setting the timer for 25 minutes and then just kind of keeping an eye on it and checking it and seeing when it's done. Alrighty guys, the cake is done and out of the oven. It took about 40 to 41 minutes, I believe, to bake up fully. I checked it with the toothpick and it came out clean. So now I'm just going to leave this to cool on the counter. In the meantime, I'm going to start on our caramel icing. Here's what you'll need to make the caramel icing. You'll need some vanilla, some brown sugar, some milk. I'm using 1%, but it doesn't matter what kind it is. Icing sugar, and some butter. So let's make some caramel icing. Alrighty guys, it's time to make our caramel icing. This is an icing that you start by boiling and everything. So the first ingredient I'm going to add is my butter. I just cubed it up. I'm doing 1 cup of butter. Now, the thing is, me and my family are kind of caramel icing fiends. We absolutely love extra icing on our cake. So I'm doing 1 cup of butter. But if you're somebody who doesn't want a ton of icing on your cake, you can half this recipe and just do half a cup of butter. And I'll give you both measurements if you're doing just the normal amount, or if you want to double it because you're like me and my family and love some icing. But anyway, butter's in. Next, you want to add 1 cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add 2 cups. 1 cup and 2 cups. Now we're going to add some milk. You'll do 2 tablespoons of milk, or if you're doubling it, 4 tablespoons. Now I'm going to turn my sauce pot on to about medium heat, and we're going to let that combine. I'm going to kind of, stir it around as it all melts down and everything. And what we're wanting is to bring this to a boil. And I will check back in with you guys when I get to that point. Alrighty guys, so hopefully you guys can see it. But my mixture is starting to bubble. I'm going to give it a little more time. Kind of let it really get all angry with bubbles. It is getting there. And so then once kind of your full surface, there's lots of bubbles really coming up to a boil, then you can start timing this and just stir it and let it continue to bubble for 1 minute. So I'm going to start timing this now. I usually just count to 60. Alrighty, so I've given my mixture a minute to boil. So now what we're going to do is we're going to turn the heat off, and we're going to just set this aside, and I'm going to let it cool for a little bit. Probably like 15 minutes, half an hour will be good. Alrighty guys, let's finish up this icing. I let it sit for I think around a half an hour. It did thicken up quite a bit. I'm going to add some vanilla extract. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons. If you were doing just a single batch, you just do 1 teaspoon. And 2. Now for icing sugar, I'm going to start with 2 cups and go from there. So I'm going to use my beater, and I'll be right back. Alrighty guys, so I gave that a good mix, just till it combined well. So it is actually pretty nice and thick right now, so I actually think I'm going to call that good with just the 2 cups of icing sugar. So we'll put this onto our cake, and we'll be all done. Alrighty, got my cake. Take my frosting and just spread it on. One little fun thing you can do if you want to make it look pretty, you can kind of take your spatula and do little turns and stuff. Kind of it almost looks more rustic this way. Now I'm going to let this set. I think I'm going to put it in the fridge for a bit, and we'll give it a try. So there you guys have it. My absolute favorite chocolate cake and caramel icing. See you guys again next time. Bye-bye.